Chloe Meister wins the tip for the Hoosiers, and we are ready for this Sunday matinee game. Jules Lamondola in her second straight start has it for IU as she feeds Garzone.
Yeah, right away, not a huge surprise, but Maine coming out in some sort of zone.
As Chloe Moore-McNiel takes it all the way to the rack for two.
Chloe Moore-McNiel's going to need to be big. We talked about where the offensive production is going to come from without Mackenzie Holmes and Sarah Scalia both leaving. I know Indiana fans are tired of hearing about that, but Yarden Garzone's been big in stepping up in that #1 role as well.
Gallego off the bounce gets swatted by Meister. And here come the Hoosiers in transition. Lamondola to Garzone. As Indiana swings it around, Moore-McNiel open in the corner. She sinks it.
Two really good looks for Chloe Moore-McNiel to start. Maine calls a timeout. Indiana dissecting this zone easily. You could tell they knew it was coming in the scout, and they're making quick passes. You like to think those are going to come up at some point, and with it, Indiana will start playing a little better.
So far, the Hoosiers are 2 for 2 from the field, and they lead this game 5-zip as Bournemouth has it for the Black Bears. Hands off to Olivia Rockwood. Rockwood looking for Bournemouth again. Meister all over her. It's back out to Rockwood. She'll fire away and drill the three.
Yeah, that's what Maine's going to have to do. It's going to have to be quick catch and shoot because Indiana's defense is swarming, and they have the height advantage as well.
Moore-McNiel has the first 5 points and the ball. Cross-court pass to Garzone. Now here's Shay Chesky, the Penn State transfer, back to Garzone for the tray.
Yeah, I don't know what, this is a Maine team that has run the zone a lot this season, but it looks like there's a lot of miscommunication up top. That's 2 open threes now on back-to-back possessions.
Here's Bournemouth with the basketball. The give to Rockwood. Looked like she may have traveled. No call, and it's back to Bournemouth. Sarah Talon driving on Chloe Moore-McNiel, and Lamondola forces the jump ball.
There's not a lot going on off ball right now for Maine's offense. Last possession, she's got a really quick catch and shoot from Rockwood. And that's the only open look that they've gotten. They want to look down low to Bournemouth, but again, Meister has that height advantage on her. It's going to be tough to get anything over her.
The possession arrow keeps it with the Black Bears after the tie-up. The inbound to Bournemouth, over to J.C. Christopher, freshly into the game. 3 on the shot clock. I don't know if Bournemouth realizes it. She's got to hurry, and they say she doesn't get it off.
Yeah, that was a close one. Good idea from Bournemouth. Just might have been a half-second late trying to get to the basket. I think that's a good sign, though, if you're Maine. She was able to get that step on Meister. I think that's how you beat Indiana on the offensive side of the ball, is just to draw Meister out a little bit.
Maine will certainly try to do that. We'll see if they do so successfully. Here's Chloe Moore-McNiel trying her second three, and she's 2 for 2 from deep and already with 8 points.
I know the three-point percentage on the year says, you know, maybe you can leave a couple of these players open, but you have to look at what they've done their whole career. You have to be there at the catch, before the catch, and Maine just has not been doing that. There's been way too much room. Rockwood got there late, but it was too late.
Moore-McNiel shot 41% from deep last season. As that shot, another deflection and a block by Meister into the hands of Bournemouth. 2 on the shot clock, and inside, Sarah Hodgson gets it to fall. Maine playing this high zone, as we have mentioned. They try to feed it inside to Meister, and there's a turnover.
Yeah, it's the first time Indiana's tried to get it inside on this zone. That's the strong part of the zone. It's going to be tougher for Indiana to beat Maine down low. And if you're still hot, 3 for 3 from 3, you might as well keep shooting them.
Bournemouth with the basketball over to Hodgson. Back to Bournemouth. IU deciding to double her down low. Olivia Rockwood, shot clock again dwindling for the Black Bears. I don't know if Rockwood knows it, and that's blocked by Lamondola.
Yeah, Indiana's defense has been so consistent. And there has to be something off ball. We talked about all Maine wants to do is either layups or three-pointers, but it just seems like it's either Rockwood or Bournemouth just dribbling on one side and nobody's doing anything on the other side. The Hoosiers are trying to do a lot of ISO ball, and that's not going to work against this Indiana defense.
The Hoosiers having a block party so far, Ben. 4 blocks in under 4 minutes.
4 blocks, 3 3-pointers made. I mean, that is the recipe to success, something that we just hadn't seen a ton from Indiana so far in the year.
Moore-McNiel trying to navigate the zone. Garzone feeds Amendola in the corner. She hits from deep.
Maine is going to crash on any pass that's anywhere near the paint, and that gives you just enough time to find anyone. You look at this Indiana team, you got 4 players who could really shoot the ball that are on the floor right now.
And of those 4, Amendola is the one you probably feel most comfortable leaving open, but she made them pay for it.
Shea Chesky, who, you know, just talent-wise, other than Garzone, might be the best 3-point shooter on this team, hasn't even got a chance yet.
Olivia Rockwood with the shot clock winding down again. Here's Caroline Dotsie, who just had 26 points and a 5th block for Indiana. Here they come in transition. Chesky streaking through the lane, can't get it to fall. Back the other way, here's Christopher. This Maine team plays at one of the slowest tempos in the nation.
Yeah, I was just about to mention that. I understand what Indiana's going to try to do, and I don't hate Chesky taking that up. Even if that's something that against most teams you don't necessarily have the numbers for. This is a Maine team that doesn't play well in transition.
Hodgson, however, knocks down her 2nd bucket, first 3 of the game for her. And Maine still within 6.
3-point ball is the only really thing that can keep them into the game right now with the level that Indiana's shooting on.
Garzone will try from the corner now, and the Hoosiers just cannot miss.
They're getting a lot of room, but still, that's not to discredit how Indiana's shooting so far. We knew at some point that was going to break out a little bit and regress towards the mean, and started to see it right here. They can be a dangerous team when they start knocking these down.
Indiana has made all 5 of their 3-point attempts. Here's Hodgson, who has an early 5 points but couldn't get that J to fall. Garzone in transition. Chesky thought about it. Now the Hoosiers swinging around this zone. Chesky's open. Now she'll take the 3. Overcooked that one, and Hodgson comes away with it.
Yeah, just a bad pass, trying to get that rush a little bit.
Quickly up the floor comes Christopher, and she is short on that attempt. Chesky has it for the Hoosiers. They swing it to Garzone. Back to Moore-McNiel, now Chesky. Inside, Garzone can't hit the jumper, but a foul after Meister pulled down that board.
I like the way Indiana's fought so far. Chloe Moore-McNiel bringing the energy too is, I think, the biggest thing right now. Everyone, it looks like on Indiana, is just feeding off that energy. And she's going to get a nice, well-deserved break right now, stirring the pot for Indiana.
So the Hoosiers, with 3.5 minutes left to play in this first quarter, lead by 9. They inbound to Amendola, and she's open under the hoop.
Those underneath out-of-bounds plays for Terry Moore, and that's what she's known for, and gets Amendola set up with a nice, easy layup right there. Sometimes that's a hard thing to adjust for when you play a zone, but then you go to man when a team's taking underneath out-of-bounds. It can confuse the defense.
We talked about Amendola making her 2nd career start in place of Sydney Parrish, who has a knee injury. Riley Stark will have more on that later. Meanwhile, on the other end, it's Gallego getting her first bucket of the game.
Yeah, Maine's making some nice buckets. I mean, they're making some tough baskets down low. They're fighting through contact a little bit too. This is a team we talked about. They are, you know, undersized against an Indiana squad, but
yeah, this
Indiana team is going to be tough to beat if they're shooting like this.
Indeed, this Maine team, as we talked about a little bit, missing Adriana Smith. She's out for the year with a knee injury. She was the AEC Player of the Year a couple of years ago, and while she's not the tallest, she really makes them pay inside. But once again, getting inside is the Black Bears with Sarah Talon, and they've made this a 7-point game.
They play 4 guards almost exclusively, Maine does. And what that does is that just draws some of the bigger players out for Indiana. Lily Meister and Caroline Striplin right here specifically. Striplin makes her pay on the other end, though.
Nice little dish from Lexus Bargesser, setting up Striplin, the Tennessee transfer, for the deuce.
Yeah, I really like Striplin this year. You know, everything in the offseason was about, okay, Mackenzie Holmes is gone. How does Lily Meister step up? It doesn't have to be one player who takes over that production down low. Strickland being a little bit of help there is huge too.
Hodgson knocks down the three, as Maine has now made 3 from beyond the arc. Bargesser with the ball for Indiana. She returned in that Bahamas trip after missing the first 4 games with a foot injury. And it gives Indiana another ball handler as a foul is called up top. But Bargesser, really the backup point guard. Indiana didn't have much support for Chloe Moore-McNiel in those first 4 games when she was out.
Well, I think especially when you look at the Harvard game, I think what you saw was Chloe Moore-McNiel just looked gassed. I mean, she had to play so many minutes in that game. And there's a difference between playing minutes, you know, as a 2 through 5, but being the point guard, like, it makes it a little more exhausting. You have to do so much more in terms of getting the ball up the floor.
Bargesser drives, finds Strickland again in the lane, and she will have a chance for a 3-point play. Strong finish by Caroline Strickland.
And well, early when Indiana was trying to get it down low, Maine was swarming, and it seemed like Indiana was trying to make quick passes that were getting picked off or at least tipped. Now they're being a little more patient, and the fact that Maine has to respect the 3-point a little more. They're late to that pass right there to Strickland, and just a little bit of contact. I haven't seen a whole lot of contact in this first quarter. Strickland able to finish through it.
That foul called on Sarah Hodgson, her first. 3rd team foul for Maine. Indiana has not yet been called for a foul, as Strickland completes the 3-point play.
That's something Morin's going to be real happy about. They had foul trouble a little bit in those first couple of losses as well. And they're playing very clean defense here in the first quarter. Still, I think 15 points is maybe a little more than Terry Morin would like to give up, especially to a Maine team that struggled offensively. But they've hit a couple of contested threes that's helped with that.
Boardman with the basketball against Hina Sandvik. Now down to Caroline Dotze. Dotze hits the mid-range J, and she is coming off a career-high 26-point performance against Stonehill Bend. Before that, she had never even scored 10 in a game.
Yeah, Adriana Smith, that injury, Smith is going to be that player that really leads you in scoring. She's your clear-cut star. Now you have to replace her with a bunch of different pieces.
Dotze looking to be one of those pieces, as the Chesky 3 is no good. And here comes Esther Blaunfelt. Maine has made this a 7-point game, as Boardman has it on the baseline. Boardman looking to attack Lily Meister, deflected by Bargesser, who dives on the ground for it. It'll be another tie-up, this time going to the Hoosiers.
Yeah, nothing gets an Assembly Hall crowd on the feet like a player diving on the floor for a jump ball. The effort level I think we've seen has been better this game as opposed to the Butler, the Harvard losses. That's something I really liked in Atlanta. So I think that's one of the biggest things that's improved. You beat a pretty good Columbia team, and then that Baylor win, you hope sparks something moving forward.
Once again, the Hoosiers made the championship in the Battle for Atlantis, losing to North Carolina 6 days ago. As here comes Chloe Moore-McNiel. Nice cut by Bargesser, and she'll head to the charity stripe.
Yeah, Maine's falling asleep on some of these back cuts. Indiana's doing a nice job of getting to the spots in the zone. There's some of the weak spots of the zone, but there's also been some times when, a Maine defender should have been there. And Bargesser exposed that again.
Bargesser so far this year shooting 83%, 5 of 6 at the line in the Bahamas, as she misses that one. But they have really cleaned up her jump shot routine and her form. After last year, she was just 56% at the line. And we'll see if it pays off in the long term. However, she goes 0 for 2 there, but Chesky, the smallest player on the court, gets the offensive rebound.
Once again, it's that effort in that fight.
Under 10 for the Hoosiers to work with. Bargesser to Moore-McNiel. Garzone has 2 to work with, fires it up, and that's too strong as we end this first quarter with Indiana leading 24-17.
Due to time constraints, we now move ahead in the action.
Dotze looking for Hodgson, back door. Ball is loose again. and I think Hodgson was touching it while sitting out of bounds.
Yeah, I think she was on the line right there. Once again, Indiana getting in passing lanes, being anticipatory, or anticipating what Maine's going to do. And I've liked how this Indiana team hasn't been afraid to get on the floor. Yeah, Maine as well. It's just a lot of the 50-50 balls are bouncing Indiana's way.
Chesky brings it ahead for IU, now to Moore-McNiel. Lamondola with it, up to Sandvik. Chesky kicks it to Moore-McNiel. Those two play catch, and then it's deflected out of bounds by Talon.
Yeah, the way to beat this 1-3-1 zone, what Indiana did early was get the ball on the baseline. You saw Chloe Moore-McNiel had an open three and then had an open baseline drive. There's so much attention up top, though, that they're making it tough to even get the ball to the baseline with their hands in passing lanes, but they get it right there.
Chesky does have it on the baseline. She finds Sandvik up top. Garzon will try from deep again. This one falls.
When you get the ball on the baseline, it gets the 1-3-1 all out of sorts and leaves someone right there where a defender usually is in that zone, but they have to adjust a little bit, and Garzon gets left open. You cannot leave her open with too much time.
Here's Caroline Boardman with the rock. Trying to feed Gallego, ball is loose, and the Hoosiers recovered. And then a blocking foul is called, or no, a foul is called on the other end. That goes against Maine, against Paula Gallego.
That's an interesting call. It looked like she was just on the floor and she tripped over, and we'll take a look at it again. Goes to the ground, and
I guess that's an illegal screen?
I haven't seen that call much. I guess I haven't seen that a ton. She was just laying on the floor, and maybe you blame, I'm not sure who had the ball right there, but whoever it was drove right past her. And then, yeah, I guess you can count that as an illegal screen. I don't know.
It's one you usually see just let go because everybody's on the ground.
Yeah.
But it is called a foul. The Hoosiers have it. Garzon tries again. Well flat on that shot, and it comes back to Maine out of bounds.
Indiana's being really aggressive on the offensive board, and credit Maine a lot for keeping them off of it. A couple of fouls we talked about, and Juliana Lamondola hit the floor pretty hard there. We've talked so much about the Maine zone and all its stereotypes, but the number one stereotype about a zone is it's tough to rebound out of it, but Maine's done an exceptionally well job doing that today.
As they find a nice cutter, J.C. Christopher straight down the lane for two. Here's Chloe Moore-McNiel up to Lamondola. They swing it around now, Chesky. And she draws the blocking foul on Sarah Talon.
Yeah, again, these Maine players are just a step too late. Chesky getting into the paint, all she could do was make contact out of position.
Chesky had her best game as a Hoosier a week ago in the Bahamas, scoring 34 against Baylor. She's in her first year with IU after playing 2 seasons at Penn State. On the block, here's Garzon, and she gets called for the charge.
I don't love that call, Zion. You know what? I'm a post player myself, but I don't. Maybe a little bit lean of the shoulder.
It was that last little dip, Ben. The first one they let her get away with, and she did it again, and they called the offensive foul.
But again, my problem with the call is the first one they let her get away with only because the defender didn't go to the floor. It's all about falling in that situation. And I understand you got to call that.
Rockwood has it for Maine, but throws it away to Bargesser. Bargesser in transition. A lot of contact, no call, and it'll go back to the Black Bears.
Boy, when a team is that low in pace of play, that slow, they're one of the bottom 3 teams in the country in pace of play, Maine is. Usually they're not very good in transition defense or offense. The transition defense for Maine has actually been exceptionally good today.
Neither team has a fast break point.
Yeah. And for Maine, I can't remember much transition for Maine at all. They haven't forced a ton of turnovers today.
Yeah, just 4 turnovers so far for the Hoosiers, who are averaging over 17 so far this year. As we're in this final minute now of the first half, here's Sarah Talon. Talon squeezes the pass into Gallego. She wasn't quite ready for it. Now here's Christopher up top to Talon. Talon with the shot clock dwindling, has that one rim out, and then a jump ball is called, heading back over to the Hoosiers.
The only way Maine is getting open shots is beating defenders off the dribble, which they actually are doing pretty well today. Some of those passes, though, Indiana is playing tight on everybody because they know everybody on this Maine team can shoot.
You see the tie up there. 3.6 separates the shot clock and game clock here near the end of this half. As Indiana will take as much time as they can, trying to make this the last real possession of the half. Gerzone has it now for the Hoosiers. Over to Chloe Moore-McNiel. Back to Gerzone, 3 on the shot clock. Moore-McNiel has to put it up, and she nails it. And that is how this first half will end. Chloe Moore-McNiel with an early 15 points, and IU leads it by 8.
Due to time constraints, we now move ahead in the action.
Away, undercooked that shot, and LaMendola pulls it away for the Hoosiers. Here comes Moore-McNiel. Shut off nicely. Maine back in that zone. Moore-McNiel has it in the middle. Moore-McNiel open on the left wing, and she puts another one home.
See, that's the thing I love about Chloe Moore-McNiel. She gets hot like that, but then she doesn't take a ton of, heat checks and ill-advised shots. She's someone who stays calm no matter, the way she plays, you never know if she's 0 for 11 or if she's 8 for 11. And that's one of the best things I love about Moore-McNeil's game.
Today, she's got 18 points and has made all 4 of her three-point attempts. As a great defensive play by Henna Sandvik, just stepping on the baseline, however. And she'll exit the game for Lily Meister, but look at this block.
That's staying with her the whole way.
That is textbook defense. 8 on the clock for Maine to work with. And they try to get into Boardman, stolen away by Meister. And Boardman now has it back up. But she barely grazes the rim on that jumper, and it goes out of bounds. Back to IU.
Yeah, offensively for Maine, down 21 right now, nearing the end of the third quarter. The only way to really get back into this game is by knocking down a few three-pointers. They're not getting those kinds of looks though. And they shot at 4 for 11 from 3 in the first half, but they aren't getting those same looks.
Nice pass inside to Meister from Moore-McNiel, and Lily Meister will head to the line.
Yeah, now Indiana's offense is starting to figure it out a little bit too. Sometimes that defense leads to offense. Not necessarily anything in particular, but just the confidence of one side leading to another. And, if you're going to front a post player like Meister, the defense has to be way quicker than that, rotating around. And they did not get there in time.
Lily Meister averaged just shy of 4 points a game last season. Now she is close to 11 a game, and she has 13 already today. She's taken over as IU starting center and has done a pretty good job with it. In the Harvard game that this team lost, second game of the season, she was the standout in that game, scoring a career-high 20 points.
Everyone talks about the points and the scoring that you lose from Mackenzie Holmes, but another big thing is the rebounding. A lot of people thought that was going to be a question mark too, and Meister, once again, is the one that has to step up in that area, and she's done that as of late.
Meister splits the pair of free throws, and the Hoosiers lead it by 22. They kick it to the other side to Olivia Rockwood, and Rockwood knocks down her second 3 today.
Yeah, we talked about she needs that, or Maine needs that to get back into this game. Quick passes, and they especially like that too because it's quick in the shot clock. Doesn't take much time.
Meister attacking again, and she'll take another trip to the line.
Yeah, good job. After that last possession, they didn't want to front her this time, and Meister's skilled enough offensively that if she gets the ball with her back to the basket, there aren't a lot of defenders that can stop that on a consistent basis. Sometimes you have to foul.
So Meister, the junior from Minnesota. Her brother's on the Minnesota basketball team right now. Lincoln, a 6'9" forward. She has just gotten better year after year in her time in Bloomington.
A lot of height in that family.
Yeah, for sure. Parents both played basketball at South Dakota State, so when your parents are D1 athletes and then you can become a D1 basketball player as well, you and your brother, there's athleticism running through the genes. Maine has it here with Sarah Hodgson up to Bourneman. Now back to Hodgson. She gets fouled up top by Yarden Garzone. Ben, this Maine team takes 27 threes a game. They've only attempted 14 so far today. Usually almost half of their shots are threes, but only 14 of their 39 attempts today have been from deep.
Well, I think there's a couple different things. They try to get inside here. I think to start, they weren't getting a lot of good looks in the paint in the first half. So it's like they take more of those and they want to take threes. And then Indiana started to get consistent at guarding both the paint and the three-point line. How about Rockwood getting the roll there too? That's 2 in the last couple possessions for her.
Lead is back down to 18 for the Hoosiers with the shot clock off for this final possession of the quarter. Chesky over to Jules Lamandola. Here's Chloe Moore-McNiel going straight to the lane again and drawing another foul on the Black Bears.
Yeah, I just like the way Indiana's attacked and not slowed things down, even, extending this lead, keeping the foot on the gas. Chloe Moore-McNiel, once again, even if you're not seeing it on the stat sheet, which you are today, it's just the energy she brings. It's contagious to the whole team.
Moore-McNiel knocks down her first free throw. It's her first of the game. She came into today shooting 80% at the line. She makes both, and she has 22 away from tying her career high. As the half-court heave, too strong that time from Sarah Talon, and Indiana heads to the break.
But I think of all the sports that gets improved with those 4 schools entering, I think women's basketball might be at the top.
Of course, the Bruins upset South Carolina last week and broke up their long winning streak, which dated back to the spring of 2023 when Iowa beat South Carolina in the Final Four back then. We mentioned it earlier, this Hoosiers team had their season ended last year by the Gamecocks in a 4-point game in the Sweet 16. Here's Caroline Bourneman going up for the shot and unable to hit. But yeah, in the last 2 seasons, the Big Ten has really become a powerhouse in women's basketball. Not considered that traditionally, but between Indiana, Iowa, Ohio State, and now adding those 2 teams from Cali and even Oregon as well, this conference has really gotten a lot better.
Yeah. And I think too, it's a big time for the conference to get better with some of these Big Ten teams taking maybe a little step back from years prior.
Another 3 goes down for Indiana. That time it's Chase Chesky hitting her second of the day. Now Chesky's guarding Sarah Hodgson up top and is called for the bump.
Obviously with Iowa losing Caitlin Clark, they take, a massive step back, maybe a bigger step back than anyone. And that's not to say how not great they'll be this year, but it's more of how great they have been in years prior. Indiana is in that boat as well. Going to take a little step back.
But the Hawkeyes are 8-0 so far, Ben.
That's true.
And they didn't even go 8-0 with Caitlin Clark on the team ever.
Yeah, that was their best start since, I forget what that number was.
It was 05, 04, 05.
Yeah, something like that. And I'll tell you what, Lisa Bluter gone as well. We talk about Caitlin Clark, we'll talk about the coach behind that as well.
As another foul is called on IU on the inbound, and this conference is just very, very deep. I mean, I didn't even mention Maryland there. They're always around.
Ohio
Illinois is off to a good
around.
start this season, but there's a lot of good teams.
Yeah.
And Indiana will start Big Ten play 6 days from today, where they'll head to Penn Station. It'll be a return game for Shea Chesky, who has the ball now.
That's going to be exciting. We just showed up there the performance that Gracie Merkel had. 31 points, 11 rebounds, and a double-double against Drexel. They can play tough down low. That's going to be one of the toughest tests all season for some of these post players for Indiana and Lily Meister and Caroline Strickland.
It's been a choppy start to this quarter. After that first half, felt like we almost saw no fouls.
Yeah.
We've had kind of 3 back-to-back here to start the third quarter.
Yeah, Maine started to get used to these underneath out of bounds plays for Indiana. That's actually 2 in this happened in the last few minutes of the third quarter, and now they've just anticipated passes. Gearzone was maybe staring down too much.
There she goes. She inbounds that time straight to Lily Meister, who is right at the hoop for the lay-in.
Well, good job adjusting by Terry Board on that one.
Indiana now leading by 25, their largest lead today. For this Maine team, they're just looking to find their offense again after scoring 13 in that third quarter. Hodgson has it in the corner. Chesky harassing her. But then Chesky is called for another one of those fouls, guarding the perimeter.
You know, I know we talked about this earlier on the broadcast, how great of a cause that Indiana wearing their red uniforms at home is going to support the battle of ALS. And on top of it, you know, I know a lot of people love the classics, but I am a sucker for a good primary color on primary color contest. A nice red versus blue.
I was going to actually ask you about that, Ben, because it's a new thing. It's something that we didn't really see before 3 or 4 years ago, I'd say,
it is.
In sports in general, everywhere. And now we see it pretty often. And
especially
I think I'm with you.
Especially in the NBA and WNBA right now, too. You're seeing it so much.
Nice scoop layup that time for Caroline Dotsie. But it's this new age, you know, the home team doesn't have to wear white every game like we kind of got accustomed to. And now we see these teams kind of mix it up. IU doesn't do that very often, but a couple times a year they have some sort of alternate uniform for some cause or some other reason. And this is one of those days. Gearzone wild layup attempt doesn't fall, but it's last touched by the Black Bears, so Indiana keeps possession.
I think Indiana's going to do it probably less than most.
So we have a trivia question here. And the question, Ben, neither of us know the answer. Which Bob Knight student is the only coach to suffer a loss to Maine in the NCAA tournament?
So we're saying Bob Knight student here. So not like player, like a Bob Knight student. Because I did hear he taught basketball classes here at Indiana.
He sure did. I don't know the answer. I know when Maine won
I feel like I only have one guess.
I know when Maine won their only game in the NCAA tournament. That was in 1999. And, yeah, that was in 1999. I don't have the team, but I also have a guess. What's yours?
I'm going to go Tara Vanderveer is the only women's college basketball coach that I could think of that would be a student of Bob Knight that went to Indiana. Obviously, that wouldn't be clarified as maybe a player of Bob Knight. So Tara Vanderveer has to be my answer.
I had the same answer.
Yeah,
Vanderveer, who's just retired this spring. Not sure if that's the answer or not. We'll find out soon. But, yeah, this Maine team has made the NCAA tournament 10 times, and they're 1-10 in those games. So they've only won 1. And I should have wrote down in my notes who they lost to. That would have who they beat.
That would have been too easy.
I know.
You would have been given the answer.
I knew. Maybe I knew writing down my notes that I was going to have to be tested on it. As Meister with the stuff of Sarah Talent. Chesky in transition fires away off the mark, but Meister tracks it down after getting the block up to LaMendola. Chesky's open again, but she'll pull it out and restart the offense.
Yeah, I like that. A lot of times, you know, the analytics say the best three-pointers to take is off of an offensive rebound.
McNeil ends up taking one from deep.
Yeah.
And then she finds Hennessy wide open near the rim.
What I was trying to get at is that if there is a scenario to not take it and really take time off the shot clock, it's in a situation like this where you're up by a lot and you want to just take time off the clock. And what do you know? They get another offensive rebound and find a nice open cutter on the baseline.
25-point lead for IU as Dotsie drains another 3. She has 13 points, back-to-back games in double figures for Caroline Dotsie after she had never done so in her first season in 6 games.
I mean, that's a nice development for Maine heading forward. They start American East play decently soon, is just to have as many options as humanly possible.
Chesky falls short on the mini J. Here's Dottie again going to work against Lily Meister. She beats her to the other side of the hoop.
Yeah, I think Meister looks maybe a little tired right now when Dottie has that extra step. And we talk about how big that is for Maine. Adriana Smith being out, we talked about that a lot. Also, Maddie Fitzpatrick was expected to be a big part of this Maine team as only a freshman. She was a two-time Maine High School Player of the Year, but she goes down with injury as well. She'll be out.
Vashon scored 11 points in that game, and she's the all-time leading assister in this program's history and in the history of the American East Conference. It's been over 2 decades later, and no one has surpassed her.
And, a lot of times it's no surprise. A lot of times the best coaches are the ones who played point guard in their careers.
Terry Morin as well was a guard at Purdue, Indiana's biggest rival.
Yeah.
And now she has come over and built this program up. Hoosiers forced another turnover there. Maine now has 13 as we see Sandvik knock down the 2-point jumper.
Yeah, nice look for Sandvik. This is an Indiana team that shoots more mid-range shots than most, and they have a lot of players that can knock them down. But it's big. You don't get a lot of minutes to come off the bench and just be able to knock down a shot like that.
Dottie has it for Maine. To J.C. Christopher. Dottie flat on that 3. And Lamondola gets it for the Hoosiers.
Yeah, if you're Indiana right now, it's that time of game where you're kind of content just taking time off the clock.
But they quickly do find Sandvik, who doesn't hit the layup but gets her on board. Chesky to Garzone. Swinging it around this zone. Garzone tries a 2 from a similar spot that Sandvik just hits from.
And Indiana takes a lot of time in the shot clock. That's something that they weren't doing in the first half, and usually that's a negative thing, but in the first half they weren't doing that because they had so many good looks early in the shot clock. So you can't be too upset with it.
This Maine offense has only scored 20 points in this second half after it was an 8-point game at the break. As here's a wild shot from Caroline Boardman. She just had to force it up with the shot clock going down, and that'll be a 30-second violation.
Yeah, I really liked the job that Indiana's done on Boardman today. We talked about how tough of a matchup she is, how quick she can be using that size and getting down low, but Indiana's played her well.
The Hoosiers bring on Valentina Kadlikova from the Czech Republic and Faith Wiseman, a fellow Indiana native. As they start to empty out the bench with this win secured. They'll try to feed Wiseman down low, and she's fouled.
Yeah, it's nice to get some of these guys some minutes. And so many great things about a blowout win like this. Analytics has become such a big part of the college basketball selection committee these days, and getting that big margin of victory cannot hurt.
Charnice Curry-Jelks into the game as well for the first time today. And for the first time this year, Ben, the women's tournament and selection committee will be using a quad system. So it will be interesting to see how they kind of go about that and how that is used when it comes to comparing resumes. It's been used for, I would say, about a decade on the men's side, and now the women are following suit.
Very mixed reviews about it on the men's side, I think, but I think it's just used as kind of a sorting tool. It's not the end-all, be-all for a lot of teams, but it can give you a pretty good idea.
Deep 3 drilled that time by J.C. Christopher. She has 7 points today. Christopher is mainly a 3-point shooter, but she's actually shot 2 from deep in this game, as Sandvik's pass is wayward but knocked out of bounds by Maine. This Maine team will continue playing in Indiana. They'll head to Purdue on Wednesday. And the Hoosiers will host another Indiana team, Southern Indiana, here on Wednesday night, as Moore has to take a timeout to prevent a 5-second violation. But both these teams looking to shore up some things. The Hoosiers, we mentioned already, but they play at Penn State.
You gotta just think the travel's tough
Yeah.
for Maine. There's only one direction to go. I mean, it's tough for a lot of teams, especially Indiana, now being in the Big Ten, having to go all different directions. But Maine, they really can only go one direction.
From Orono, Maine, it's hard to get to airports and whatnot sometimes in areas like that, as we see Bargesser hit the layup through contact.
I would assume that they're not going back to Maine before their contest on Wednesday in 3 days with Purdue. But yeah, how about Alexis Bargesser? I mean, I've liked a lot of these plays from some of the Indiana role players. They've just been strong today. The finishing down low is something that's improved throughout the game.
Bargesser, we mentioned it, missed the first 4 games this year with a foot injury and returned in the Bahamas. That was her first bucket today. She's now 0 for 3 at the charity stripe in this game.
Yeah, something to clean up. Free throw shooting has been a problem at points, but it hasn't been anything detrimental for Indiana so far. So it's not anything, you know, crazy urgent, but.
Well, Bargesser shot 5 of 6 at the line in the Bahamas. Maybe she just needs to always be in a ballroom.
Maybe not in the country.
Here she is in transition, going behind the back and scoring.
I mean, it actually is an interesting point. A lot of times, like, players struggle with that ballroom setting just because of the lighting and the depth perception, those kinds of things. That's a serious thing for shooters. But Bargesser liked it.
Another Maine turnover as the Hoosiers a minute and 23 away from wrapping up this win to go to 5-3 on the season. Bargesser into the corner, Sandvik rims out on the long ball. Faith Wiseman gets it and misses, and then Curry Jelks was the last to touch it. Wiseman still searching for her first points in an IU uniform. That was actually her first field goal attempt. She played a couple games earlier this season, but didn't shoot the ball in those contests.
Yeah, it takes some of these people a lot of time to get accustomed to what a real game speed is like, and sometimes you underestimate it a little bit.
Wiseman, the true freshman from Martinsville, Indiana, just north here of Bloomington. As Jarnice Curry-Jelks comes away with the rebound. Wiseman again down low, can't hit again. This time she gets her own board, but has it stripped by Christopher. That might just be butterflies, Ben.
Yeah, that is. I mean, it's a good drop step. Nice move by Wiseman getting down low. But I think when all is said and done, her teammates are to give her a rough time about that, jokingly. She'll get her first points in IU uniform at some point, but I think Indiana's just going to dribble this one out.
So Indiana outscores Maine 42-25 in the second half. And the Hoosiers take this one 78-53 to get back in the win column in Assembly Hall.
Yeah, I like the way Maine was able to, stay in the game in the first half. They made some really nice shots, hit a couple of big threes in that first half, but it was Indiana keeping their foot on the gas.